Hello, people. How's it going? Well, it's cloudy. It's going to rain today. It must be Minnesota. Anyway, this is part 3 of the American Civil War series I'm going to do. And as today is the anniversary of Fort Sumter, the firing upon Fort Sumter 161 years ago on April 12th to the 13th, as it says in my notes. What I'm going to do, though, first is I am going to quote from a book for a while, give a chronology of events up to that point. But because I'm going to use this book because this is a good book. Bruce Cotton's American Civil War. I'll probably use this book as well as I do the series. And of course, The Idiot's Guide to the Civil War. That'll be the one I'll use a lot because I'm an idiot. Not really. I have an IQ of 140. But anyway. But I'm going to, I figure I'm going to give a rundown first of up to Fort Sumter, and then I'll do my notes that I wrote. But today is the anniversary, 161 years of the beginning of the American Civil War, which in the end of that 4-year struggle, over 600,000 Americans will be dead from all sorts of reasons: battle wounds, illness, disease, Andersonville, and all sorts of things. But I want to do this because I want to give an idea of led up to this and so on and so forth. So 1861, April, Democratic Presidential Nominees Convention meets in Charleston, South Carolina, who we will know was the first state to succeed in December, I believe. What started it all. Let's see, I'm going to skip a little bit. Let's see. November 1860, Lincoln is elected president. South Carolina calls a session convention on 9th of November. On the 10th of November, South Carolina's James Chestnut, a moderate, resigns from the Senate to be followed by his colleague John H. Hammond. November 15th, 1860, Major Robert Anderson is sent to command the Charleston defenses, which is Fort Sumter. Anderson asked for reinforcements on the 23rd of November. On the 28th, he calls for more reinforcements, because he knows what's coming. On the 1st of December, Anderson renews his plea for reinforcements, because he definitely knows what's coming. On December 4th, 1860 still, in his inaugural message to Congress, President James Buchanan, the spineless one, who could have done something long before this started, but didn't, declares that secession is unconstitutional. Oh, now he declares it's unconstitutional. But denies that the federal government has power to force states to remain in the Union. I think it's called the Constitution. I think there, James. December 8th, Secretary of the Treasury Howell Cobb of Georgia resigns, believing secession is imperative. Let's see. December 20th, 1860, South Carolina secedes from the Union. Let's see. December 26, 1860, Anderson withdraws all the federal forces in Charleston Harbor from Fort Mallory to stronger Fort Sumter. Finally, James Buchanan decides to do something on December 31st, 1860. Buchanan orders reinforcements for Anderson. A little too late there, buddy. A little too late. Anyway, let's see. 1861, January 5th, Stars of the West sails from New York with men and supplies to Fort Sumter. 1861, January 9th, South Carolina gunfire prevents the Star of the West from entering Charleston Harbor. January 9th, 1861, Mississippi secedes from the Union. January 10th, 1861, Florida secedes from the Union. January 11th, Alabama secedes from the Union. January 19th, Georgia secedes from the Union. January 19th, Virginia proposes a national peace conference. Yeah. Remember, this is before there was a West Virginia. West Virginia didn't come about until 1863. Same year as Nevada became a state. So the West Virginia. So. Let's see. January 21st, 1861. 5 more southern states, Southerners, well, it says Southerners, including Jefferson Davis and Mississippi, resigned from the Senate. Took them that long, huh? January 26th, Louisiana secedes from the Union. January 29th, Kansas is admitted to the Union as the 34th state. Well, that was okay. It's kind of pointless, but that's kind of where the Civil War actually started. Probably the Civil War probably started a little sooner than 1861. Some historians think that's true. It's probably accurate. February 1st, Texas secedes from the Union. February 4th, Virginia's peace conference boycotted by the Deep South opens in Washington. February 4th, 1961. Virginia elects by pro-Union majority to its secession convention. February 4th, seceded states open a convention in Montgomery, Alabama to organize a new government. February 8th, 1861. The Constitution for a provisional Confederate government is adopted at Montgomery, Alabama. February 9th, 1861. Jefferson Davis and Alexander H. Stephens are elected provisional government president and vice president. February 13th, 1861. The Electoral College confirms Lincoln is president. So get over it. Let's see. February 15th, 1861. The Montgomery Convention, acting as a provisional Confederate Congress, passes a resolution to take Fort Sumter and Fort Pickens, Florida, by force if necessary. February 18th, 1861. Jefferson Davis is inaugurated at Montgomery as provisional president of the Confederacy. February 23rd, Lincoln arrives in Washington after a secret overnight trip from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. In 1861, March 1st, U.S. Congress refuses to consider Virginia's peace conference proposal. February 4th, Abraham Lincoln is inaugurated. Same on February 4th, Anderson reports shortage of food may force the evacuation of Fort Sumter. I don't worry about that. February 6th, the Confederacy calls for 100,000 volunteers. February 11th, the Confederacy adopts a permanent constitution. Let's see. February 29th. I'm trying to pick the more important details. I mean, this is all important, of course. I'm trying to hopefully give an idea of what's leading up to Fort Sumter and stuff. I mean, it was a contested election. I mean, the South did not like Lincoln. They were terrified of what he was going to do because he was anti-slavery. He really was. I mean, he was going to try to keep the Union together, but he began to realize, okay, the slavery's got to go. I mean, I was hoping it would go away on its own accord, but apparently I'm going to have to make it go away. It's almost kind of what Lincoln was thinking, I think, at some points. Because in the beginning, he was not out to get rid of slavery. Because it was too ingrained, I think, even in his mind. But he keeps thinking something bent behind me. But yeah, see, I think even Thomas Jefferson knew this was coming and knew that something was going to happen to really get rid of slavery in the country. Because he knew, even though he back and forth on his own ideas, I think he knew that at some point something drastic was going to have to happen to the southern states to make them realize that slavery just isn't what's going to work. But anyway, that's my thoughts on that anyway. Now, as I was saying, February 29th, Lincoln's cabinet takes a strong stand on holding federal forts in the South. April 4th, Lincoln orders a relief expedition to Fort Sumter. April 8th, the relief expedition sails from New York. And on April 12th, the Confederates opened fire on Fort Sumter. Now, I mean, it's a lot more complicated than that, of course. I mean, the slavery issue was a big deal. Economics was a big deal because slavery was what drove the economics of the South. Without the slaves, the South wouldn't be where they were as a major cotton anything. So, anyway, let's see. I'm going to read from my notes because that's what I plan on doing. On April 11th, 1861, General Beauregard, he who hated Haiti, he hated the Haitian uprising, by the way. I know my friend Alice, and I used to bring this up when I bring up Beauregard, but he had a problem with it. He really did not like black people. He really was very pro-slavery. On April 11, 1861, General Beauregard of the newly created Confederate States of America demanded the surrender and evacuation of Union forces of Fort Sumter, who was still under Major Robert Anderson, who was commander of the fort, of course. He refused, but he also knew full well he could not hold out much longer, because they didn't have supplies. And the fort was really not really finished being put together. I can't remember the word I'm thinking of. I mean, they had not enough cannons. They didn't have enough people to man the cannons. They literally were not going to be able to hold out. And he knew this. But he was going to try. General Beauregard ordered the forces to open fire on April 12, 1961 at 4 a.m. in the morning with 10-pound mortars at nearby Fort Johnson. The Civil War had begun. There were actually 3 forts, if I remember correctly. The first one they just evacuated because it was pointless. It was just undefendable. So those people went to Fort Sumter. But there really were 2 smaller forts. Fort Sumter was the one that held out because that was the bigger, and that's where those people went. 43 Confederate guns and mortars pounded the fort from several positions. I can't read my own writing. Several positions around the harbor of Charleston of South Carolina. Anyway, at 7 a.m., Major Anderson commanded the fort to return fire with what he did have. I mean, he wasn't just going to stand there and allow the fort to be obliterated and people get killed. Which, oddly enough, no one did get killed until after the surrender, because I might get to that point. And actually, no one was killed during the bombardment, which was remarkable. But the cannonade lasted 34 hours on both sides, caused damage to the interior of the buildings. But remarkably enough, the walls around the fort will still remain. That was the problem. Everything around the fort was taken care of just fine. Everything inside the fort was still being constructed. So it was like, okay. It should have been, because it shouldn't have taken that long to fix it. But anyway, the federal surrender ceremony began at 4 p.m. on April 14th. Major Anderson led his command out of the fort as the band played Yankee Doodle. Now, that really is a very loose, well, I shouldn't say loose, it's more of a very, it's raining, like I knew it was going to, sorry. But the Civil War was going to happen. Whether it was going to happen. Thomas Jefferson knew this. He knew, in fact, a lot of the founding fathers knew that this problem's got to be solved. That's why the Northwest Ordinance was created. It basically said, yeah, you can come as states, but slavery is not allowed in these states. That's what the Northwest Ordinance really was about. It was, okay, we're going to create these new states, but there's going to be no slavery in them. You can become a state, but you ain't having slavery. And it really didn't solve the problem down south or west. This is why there's Bleeding Kansas and the Kansas-Nebraska Act and the Dred Scott decision and the Great Compromise. And this is all stuff in the 1850s, 1840s, 1830s. The Civil War was coming. Fort Sumter was just that final push, that final, okay, enough of this. I mean, it was inevitable. And Fort Sumter fell because it was inevitable. It was also poorly manned, poorly supplied with anything to defend itself. But that's just my summary. It's brief, I know, and it's probably not. I'm going to try to do the next one. Hopefully, be a little more organized. I'm trying to keep these under a certain amount of time, like maybe 15 minutes. I don't want. Excuse me. My poor stomach. I think I'm just hungry. But this book, I would recommend highly, because this book is a very good book on the Civil War, the beginnings of the Civil War, everything. I like this book. This book, of the 3 books I've shown, this is probably the better one. I think it's better detailed. I mean, Bruce Cotton is good. He will always be good. I mean, Bruce Cotton has never written a bad book. I'm just saying that if you want a overhaul view, the Harry Harrison book is probably better. And this book I like because it's The Idiot's Guide to the Civil War. It's got, it's cool. I mean, I wish I had, see, I don't know if you can show it. But that's the fort after the bombardment. I don't know if you can see it very well. Try to get a little closer, you can see that's the fort after the surrender. And see, they got damaged pretty badly, but it was remarkable that the only reason that one person got killed was while they were doing the gun salute for the surrender by Major Anderson. I think it was an explosion that killed a soldier. I know it killed a soldier. I just don't remember what his name was, but and that was the only casualty. A guy after the surrender because of faulty equipment. Let me see if I can find it real fast. But anyway, there's Beauregard. Yes. Yeah, Beauregard. I can't find one of Anderson. Unless I'm missing it. You would think they would have Anderson in here. I think they're not. It's just unfortunate. I don't think he's anywhere. I mean, unfortunately, I don't have a book with that. Oddly enough, I do not have a book on the first month of the Civil War. There's Jefferson Davis, probably the biggest reason the South lost was there's a micromanager and liked to play favorites and had no idea what he was doing. Should have been tried for treason. He should have been arrested and tried for treason. Him of all of them. I know there are some people who think that so did Robert E. Lee, but I think at that point it was like, let's just heal the country. But I'm getting off track, sort of. But yeah, those 3 books I would recommend. There are other books I would recommend, but I don't want to make this too long. I don't think so. Now I'm trying to check if I should. That's all right. Well, I'll probably be showing these books over and over anyway. So, behave yourselves, people. Comment, subscribe, watch. Have a good day. Later.